Welcome to another episode of the Booktroverts podcast. I'm Michaela.
I'm Meg.
And we are here with part 2 of our summer reads. We actually literally just ended part 1 2 minutes ago, but for you it's been 2 weeks, so welcome. And
back.
we're going to jump back in. I think we did most of July, but Meg has to give us her full Throne of Glass update, and then we are going to go through what we've read for the first half of August. So let's jump right in. Meg,
All right.
Throne of Glass.
Yeah.
Hit us.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to try and do as much without spoilers as possible, but I apologize in advance if I somehow give a spoiler out. So if you haven't read it, you might just want to skip this altogether and say, okay, I'll come back when they start talking about different books. But so for most of July, it was Throne of Glass. I read Throne of Glass, I read Crown of Midnight, then I read Assassin's Blade, Heir of Fire, and then Queen of Shadows. And I basically paused there because I knew the tandem read was going to take a lot. And I just needed a break so I didn't go too far into it and not remember, because I have that struggle where if you read a series, you completely forget of what book it was happening, all of that. So gave myself a pause. I think last time when we gave an update of Throne of Glass, I was in Assassin's Blade, but I was at that last short story. So basically the first couple ones I put Selena, what a badass bitch. Love her. It's just the fact that she's an assassin. I know the first part of this podcast we were talking about how you were in the Mafia series, but I feel like I've been living in the Assassin series for this. And so I guess we're just living, with some interesting stuff. But overall, I would say so far.
Right there, Meg. I just want to throw in.
Yeah.
If you want detailed thoughts around Throne of Glass and Crown of Midnight in the beginning of Assassin's Blade, it's at the end of the episode 5, the Darling Girls episode.
Yes.
You gave a quick update at the end, so there's more detailed thoughts there. And so we were picking us up at the end of Assassin's Blade.
Yes. So end of Assassin's Blade, I read the last short story. Sam dies, all that stuff. I just gave, that's not a spoiler. I guess that's part of the whole entire series.
Spoiler, he's dead.
Oops. I love how I said I'm not going to, and then I just totally give one. Okay.
If someone starts with Throne of Glass, though, if they start with Throne of Glass, though, they would know. So
yeah,
not a spoiler.
So basically, if you haven't read it at all, it's a spoiler, but it's not that big of an issue. So, but I will say, I liked Assassin's Blade overall, all 5. I know I talked about that, but reading the 5th one, I like how it finally came together and you understand where Selena was at the beginning of Throne of Glass and kind of that whole part. I did read it 3rd. I think you read it 4th. Why do I want to say you read it after Heir of Fire? Was that correct in my assumptions?
Yep.
Okay. I liked it 3rd because it was a good break in between what happens next. And I know we had talked a little bit about that one was kind of the hump to get over. And I'm reading my notes right now and I said, I fully agree that it definitely probably took a little bit of willpower to get through, but I was such on a high of the series that I got through it so fast. So for me, it wasn't as stressful or as slow, I guess, as other people have experienced it. But I think because I had Assassin's Blade as a nice palate cleanser for the series, it worked out. It wasn't as this, it was a good transition for me personally. But I can totally see people saying that it's slow. It's a lot of detail. And I can bet you that most of this detail is going to be needed in future books because I haven't gotten to the last 3 of the series. So, who knows? There could be a lot of detail that I'm completely missing.
Well, I'm glad Heir of Fire didn't take you 2 months like it took me. And I do agree with your thoughts around Assassin's Blade. I was really ready to throw in the towel, and then I read that one, and it did reinvigorate me. I think, honestly, because it was easy to follow. It was just these short little things. Yeah. She's in one location. You're learning the characters. I think the issue I had, and the people on TikTok want to be mean and tell me that I just don't know how to read fantasy books, is it's just a lot of jumping around. So you start to get comfortable with like, okay, this is the location, this is what's going on, and then the next chapter will somewhere else, or you're with these characters that you don't even know how they connect in to the main group of characters. So I think that was my overall issue with it. But I do agree. Assassin's Blade is like that little fire starter you need to like be like, okay, actually, I do kind of like this a little bit. And I
Yeah.
think honestly, I wouldn't read it first because I feel like it would be confusing. Even though
Yeah.
Throne of Glass is kind of confusing when you first start, you're like, what is going on? I don't know. I wouldn't read Assassin's Blade first, but I definitely think you need it before you read Queen of Shadows.
I fully agree. So
So I would
whether or
say
not you read it
anytime before
third or
Queen of
fourth,
Shadows, just maybe not first.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, because I think, granted, I have only gotten as far as Queen of Shadows, but I really do think Assassin's Blade, you could put it either before or after Heir of Fire, and I think it'd be fine because both of them do have a good pausing situation there where
Mhm.
it's okay to go back and reflect, but you do need it before Queen of Shadows because if not, in my opinion, I think you're spoiling things for yourself.
Yeah.
Because you learn some stuff there,
Mhm.
which brings me to that one because that was the last one that I read. I gave that a 5 stars. I'm going to tell you right now, that was probably my
What was your
favorite of the
rating
entire series.
for Air Fire? Sorry.
Air of Fire, I had 3.5. And
Okay.
the only reason why is I really liked it. And for me, because it had so much detail that we were getting, like you said, there's characters in there that you don't know who they are or what they mean to the story just yet. I liked that, but I also can understand the flipping back and forth between multiple characters can
Yeah.
be a lot. So that's why I went 3.5. But
And then, okay.
yeah,
Now, Queen of Shadows, 5, favorite of the series. Thoughts?
favorite of the series. Yeah. Um, I said it's completely action packed and entertaining. The dynamics have changed. We have way more information. So going back to the characters that you were talking about with
Hmm.
Air of Fire, way more information. There's a few specific that I don't want to say because I want people to hear the characters as you go through. But I think I text you about one of them in specific that is probably one of my favorite characters, and I just can't wait to find out more about their story. So I'm Queen of Shadows is a good point, a turning point for some people of what's going to happen.
Hmm.
There's still some characters that I think are there as fluff and I don't love them as much. I mean, I don't care. It's not really a spoiling for anything, but Kale or Cole, however we say his name, I messed it up last time too. I'm not going to learn. I want to say there's probably something going on there, but so far it's just okay, I need some, let's just find out what happens with him because it's nothing really important for me as of right now.
I do not like him. Not that I don't like
Yeah.
him. I just find him to be
Yeah.
boring. Like he's so like,
That's
and then
that's my
he
thing.
just gets more boring as the story goes on, and the things that happen to him. It's like, oh, you're just making him even more difficult to read. I am a Throne of Glass hater, and I got myself into some hot water with the Throne of Glass
Yeah.
girlies on TikTok.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes, you did.
it's just not for me because there's not enough
Yeah.
romance, and I've learned that I'm a romantasy reader.
Yeah.
But all that to say, I also gave Queen of Shadows 5 stars. That is a fantastic book.
I agree. Yeah, and I
Action
would say
packed.
I
You didn't
think
wait till the last 30% to finally get some things going there.
yes. Agreed. And I do think the difference probably between us is I'm okay with fantasy books not having the romance in it and I'm finding more interest in this, but I will say I think we talked about it last time we were mentioning this that I'm not reading it immediately after ACOTAR. And that one was phenomenal. The entire series I loved. Yes, there were a couple books that probably weren't my top, but overall, the 5 that we have out right now are so good. And I would recommend that one as number one. But for example, this one, Throne of Glass, I would recommend to my mom's friend because she totally will love the assassin aspect and just the I want to say the violence because that just sounds like this person's a violent person, but they're not, I swear. But I think she would really like this series because that would be more her style. But I did give the caveat of don't read it right after ACOTAR. Please read something else in between so that you're not comparing the two. But I think everyone has their own preference. I haven't read the Crescent City series yet. So who knows? I might end up completely wowing everyone and saying I like that one more than all three, at the top. So we'll see.
Well, I'm really glad that ACOTAR is still number one for you. I don't think the girls will be able to handle if me, a Throne of Glass hater, was friends with someone who just loves Throne of Glass. They just wouldn't be able to wrap their minds around that, because
Yeah.
everyone has to love the series and you can't have other opinions. But yeah,
Yeah.
I would say let's caveat the conversation with if you like ACOTAR because of the romance. No, Throne of Glass does not have that. So it is a very different feel to the book. I feel like people
Yeah.
now are doing a better job giving that disclaimer on social media. But when I read these last summer, there was none of that. It was just like, if you like ACOTAR, read her next one. This one's even better. So I thought I was getting ACOTAR. So I already went in with bad things. Also, if you hear everyone talk about Rowan, he's the love interest. You're not meeting him for 3 books. So I kept looking for him in the first few books. Like, okay, where's Rowan? Where's the love interest going to come from? It's more action paced and world building and story focused.
Yeah.
And
And
then
if that's your jam, go for it. You know what I mean? If that's your style, then this is the series for you, for sure.
you will get served so many videos like, you have to read it this way. No, you have to read it this way. No, this way. And it gets really overwhelming. So I would say the biggest things we'll have questions around: Assassin's Blade. We said wouldn't recommend reading it first, but at any time before book 4.
Yeah.
And like I told you, like the 2 books, Empire Storms and Tower of Dawn, they are on the same timeline. So they're happening over the same course of like the same months. So
Yeah.
that's why it's easy to switch between the 2 stories. Empire Storms ends on a massive cliffhanger that you just want the answers to. So then to go into a book that then puts you all the way back at the beginning, that could be a little off putting to people. So just know those things, but like make the decision that's up for you. I feel like this series, there's there's so much conversation around it, especially on TikTok, and people being like so aggressive about like, you have to do it this way, you have to do it this way. Like, read it however you want. And if you decide the series is not for you, it's okay. Don't let the people be mean to you.
Yeah. I fully agree. I think it's take what you want and see if it's right for you. If not, then oh well, and move
Yeah.
on to something else because there's going to be something
Crazy.
that you fancy more than this one. So,
Yeah, it's crazy.
yeah.
Like, I don't know anything that has more just like contention around it than this series right now. Like, all
I'm trying to
aspects
find
of it.
anything. Yeah,
Maybe
there's
you know what,
nothing in my
honestly,
mind.
it kind of reminds me of when Harry Potter was coming out when we were younger. Like, God forbid someone said they did not like Harry Potter. Shunned. Shunned.
Yeah. It's tough. You get so passionate about something that you can't imagine someone else not agreeing with you, but that's how the world goes around is we're not all going to agree on everything. So for me it's kind of just, hey, I appreciate you, value your opinion. I'm going to take it how I see it, you take it how you see it, and then we'll go our own ways. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You
But
and I don't agree on everything when we read books. There's
no, and
definitely things, I mean,
we'll get to it. I sent Meg a text. I was like,
yeah,
"How dare you rate this book that I gave a 5 star on too?" We'll get to it. Like, but
we'll get to it.
that's the fun of it, because I can be like, "Oh, well, I loved
Yeah.
it because of this," and you could say, "Well, I hated all this about it," and then we chat about it. Like, I'm
Yeah,
not gonna like not be her friend because, oh, you didn't like this one book that I liked. Like,
exactly.
it's
Yeah.
fine. It's like not everyone's gonna agree on everything.
Yeah.
How are you liking it? Reading it on that big bundle Kindle? That will be fun when you have to jump back and
So
forth. Use the bookmarks.
yeah, so I'm gonna use the bookmarks. Thank you for the people recommending that to us. It hasn't been bad, but it has been interesting because obviously it's just listed in order of how the books are. So when you finish one, it's just a couple more pages and you're on the new one, and it's totally fine. I like that. But when it comes to the tandem read, I think I told you I printed out the order of how to read. So I'm gonna sit there with my highlighter and go back and forth and basically
Yeah,
bookmark each book.
I put it in a note on my phone so I could check it off. I read
Yeah.
when I bought the Bridgerton books, I bought that bundle, not realizing it comes as one file.
Yeah.
And honestly, the thing that drove me nuts is I could never tell if I was close to the end of the book because it's still showing like
Yes.
20%. Like you don't get like 20 minutes left in book. It's just
Yeah. I ended
chapter.
up going to the chapter because at
That's
that point
smart.
I go, okay, if this is how I have to measure my at speed and whatnot, and then
Just those books are so long. Like Kingdom of Ash is 980 pages or something. So that's a
I know.
big file. Like you're 5 books in, I bet your Kindle's saying you're not you're like maybe 50%. Like
Basically.
so
Yeah.
discouraging. Like I appreciate the bundle, but like come on. I wish
Yeah.
there was technology to understand where you are on that one book in the bundle.
Yeah. I will admit, I did not know I bought the bundle. I thought I bought it as 8 books. And then when I went to download it, I go, oh, this is all of them together.
Mm,
Okay, this is going to be fun. So
yeah.
that was, user error for sure. But I mean, so far it's been okay. But the tandem read, I think, is going to be probably pushing the most stress on me, is just making sure I'm good with back and forth.
Yeah.
So
Honestly, it
we'll
was more
see.
so I would like start to get in, especially the Empire Storms chapters. I would get into it and I would just keep going. And I was like, oh shit, let me check my note. Like, did I skip? And like, so I had to like be really
Yeah.
conscious of at the end of every chapter being like, okay, oh, this is 6. I need to go to 8. Like, trying to remember those things. That was the only thing. But you kind of get into a groove of it. And then when you finish it,
Yeah.
you're like, oh, I did that. And you get to mark 2 books
Yeah.
off at the same time,
I know, and that's going to be really fun.
which is
I
nice.
actually think I might for my mom's friend who's going to read it. She's going to take it, and I have the paperbacks now because I ended up just buying that on Prime Day. But I think what I might do is put sticky notes
Oh, like
on
tab it
all
for
of
her.
the tab it so that she could just easily say, "Oh, okay, I go here," and yeah, it's not
Wait,
perfect, but
you have the paperbacks right now?
yeah.
You should just read one on the Kindle and one on paperback.
So I thought about that,
And
but I
then
just
just
don't
jump
know if I want to
ahead.
go between holding the paperback and then going to the Kindle. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because
but
that's the only.
there are parts of the book where you're doing like decent stretches. Like
Oh,
you're
okay.
reading like 10 chapters at a time. So
Maybe I
it's not
will.
like every chapter you're swapping off.
Yeah. Okay.
It
Maybe I'll
just
do
suck.
this and I'll send you my setup after.
You'd have to time your night reading to be the Kindle version.
Yeah, I would. I do actually have the clip-on light for my
But there you go.
paperbacks now that
That
I
might just
bought.
be easier
Yeah.
than trying to like jump between the chapters. Just a thought. Just
Right.
a thought.
Yeah. Especially with the fact that it's the all 8 books together.
Yeah.
And it's not separate downloads.
Yeah. Yeah, I had them all separate, so that was a little easier, but
Patrick's gonna laugh at my setup. Is all it's gonna be. Is here's the Kindle in its huge stand, and then here's my paperback, and then
yeah.
here's my little check marks.
I'm excited for you to finish your Throne of Glass journey and we can get your full thoughts on those books, but also the
Yeah,
series. And then I'm excited for you whenever you decide to do it, because I know you're going to do it when you read Crescent City to get your thoughts on that and then just see like where they all rank together for you.
yeah, that'll be a good conversation for sure. Because I'm gonna read it. It's gonna happen at some point.
Yeah. And I'm like itching. I cannot wait till like December to do an Akatar reread. And I need her to drop when the next book is coming.
I know,
I
I
can't
know,
wait. Oh my god.
I can't wait.
But like Throne of Glass, whether you love it or hate it, when you finish it, you're like, I did that. I accomplished it. It's
Yeah,
like tackling a mountain, I feel like. I will say
yeah.
too, the character I really freaking loved, Dorian and Manon in the Witches. I loved their chapters. I just got so frustrated, like when they first came up, like, how do you connect with the rest of the group? That was the only thing that irritated me. I love you guys, but how do you fit in? And can I get more of you? Because it would just be like one chapter of her, and then you'd go like 10 more chapters, and she'd pop back up. I'm like, I need a whole book on her.
Queen of Shadows, Manon chapters. My favorite.
I love
I
her. She's
literally
so funny.
started trying to explain this to Patrick, and he goes, "What the? What are you?" I'm like, I can't actually. I have no time for this. Let me text you instead." It was so good. Oh my god. Yeah, I'm excited for more of her.
Yeah, I love her. Um, so see, like even though
Yeah.
I hated the series, there are things that I like about it. So sorry, I'm
Yeah.
like so salty. These people being so mean to me. Any other thoughts on Throwing a Glass?
No, I think that's all I have for now. And
Closing
I guess
statements.
you'll, I mean, I'm excited to see who comes back, if anyone, from Assassin's Blade. I know I mentioned that in our last episode too. It's just, I'm really excited to see who comes back, when, how they come back. And then I'm just really curious on how the tandem read's going to go. I think for me, more just curious on the two timelines. Well, the same timeline, but the two different stories and where they go because they set it up in a way that it could go a couple different ways. So I'm just curious. I'm really excited. So I will be keeping you posted. We'll have
Nice.
to do another one of these once I'm done.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. Probably. I bet you'll have it done by our next book club episode. So maybe at the end of that,
Yeah, I definitely will.
end of September,
Yeah.
you'll be done by then. Definitely. All
Yeah.
right. Well,
We can make it work.
yeah. Obviously, I didn't read any Thrown a Glass because I read that end of last year, beginning of
Yeah.
this year. But I did have one more read
Yeah.
for July, which
Oh my
also
God, we're
bleeds
still in
into
July. Yes, please.
over into August. So I'll just do those two together. But it is fantasy. So I
Yeah.
finally read the Powerless books by Lauren Roberts. I saw people talking about these last year, like raving about it up there with Fourth Wing. And I finally got around to it. AKA Libby finally gave me my book. So I think I was on like a 30 something week wait. I gave the first one 4 stars and I literally wrote, I get the hype. People rave about this on TikTok and I get it. I would say it's more like entry level fantasy book. And I know we hated on the Hunger Games a couple episodes back, but if you are one of those Hunger Games fans, you would really like this because it has a similar premise. So basically, in this little, I guess I'll call it a country, but it's like there's other places around it. There are these people that have powers, like they can move boulders or they can turn into fire, like all these different things. And they're called elites. And then there's people who have more like mundane powers. They're healers or they're psychics. They're called mundanes. And then people who don't have any powers are called ordinaries. Now, the king, if he finds out anyone's an ordinary, they are either killed or they are sent to this place called the Scorches because they people think that the ordinaries carry this disease that weakens powers. So if they're around the elites, the powers will fizzle out.
Oh, okay.
So it follows this guy, Kai. He is the king's son and he's the future enforcer. So his brother is going to be the future king. And so he's been like trained. He basically is like the assassin for the king. And he goes out and he's like the one who finds these people and banishes them. And then it's this girl, Peyton, who is an ordinary, but she like is hiding basically in the shadows of this world. She lives in like the slum area and she has convinced everyone that she's a psychic because she's like that's a trait I could easily learn and mimic and she doesn't want to get killed or sentenced to go to this other area. And they had crossed paths when he was coming to investigate an ordinary and he ends up letting her go like he doesn't realize what's going on. He gets like in an altercation and he's getting attacked and she saves him so she becomes like this hero in her town. And then the world has these things called the trials. I didn't say how often they happen, but basically where like 8 elites will go in and they compete with each other and someone wins. That's basically it. She gets
Okay.
selected to be part of it and he's also part of it. And this is like where it's very Hunger Games, so you follow them going through these trials together. It was so good. I loved it. They have such good banter between the two of them. So there is like a romance element to this. So I would say this is like a romantasy, which is probably why I liked it. And then so yeah, she kind of has like this budding relationship with Kai, and also like she like has good banter with his brother, the future king. So it was so good.
Ooh. I
And
actually have had that on my list and
yeah,
I haven't gone for it yet, but now
no,
that you've read it and actually really liked it, I might.
I think you would like it. Like people were putting it like 5 stars up there with Fourth Wing. I would pick Fourth Wing all day, every day over it, but it's really good. You know, we've been struggling to find fantasy books. This one was good. Now,
Yeah.
the second book is called Powerful. It's like a novella. It follows Peyton's best friend from the first book. I didn't read it because you know what happens where the friend's story ends in the first book. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to like put this in. And also, I could not get a Libby hold for it. But then I ended up buying the sequel, Reckless, because I was like, I need to know what's happening. And it picks literally right up where the first book ends, which I
Oh,
love. There's
nice.
like no time in between, so it's great. I gave that one 3 stars. There's gonna be 3 books in this, like minus the novella, 3 books in the series. So it's very obviously a bridge book, but so I can recognize that. So like, I understand they're trying to build some stuff up. I wish there was like a little bit more tension between the characters, and they're just like with each other a lot. And if you read the first one, you'll know what I mean by that. But it was still really good, and I'm so excited for the third one. Like I will get it the day it comes out.
Ooh. That's okay. That is a statement that you do not make often at all. So I'm just gonna
Yeah, I really
say
liked it.
right now that yeah.
I liked
Okay.
it, and honestly, put it in for the library. I don't think it's something like you need to download right this second, but if you can get
Yeah.
it on Libby, I think you'd like it. It's
All
good.
right. I'll have to do that.
Yeah. So I had read Powerless at the end, right at the end of July, and then I jumped right into Reckless at the beginning of August. So now we're in
Okay.
August. Do you want to give us one of your August reads?
Yeah, so I will start us off with The Love Hypothesis by Allie Hazelwood. I know that you read this a while ago. So I went on a random book buying spree back in July and I bought 5 or 6 paperback books for whatever
Prime
reason.
Day.
Yeah. This was one of them. And I gave it 5 stars. I absolutely love it. It follows Olive and Adam. So Olive is not a romantic person, does not believe in, romantic relationships lasting. However, her friend does. I think her friend's name is pronounced On, if I'm saying that correctly. So On, basically just says that she wouldn't go after someone and kind of Olive's like, oh no, I'm dating someone. You're good to go after this person. No big deal. And she ends up kissing the first person that she sees, who is Adam, who ends up being this, for lack of better words, asshole professor at their school. And ends up just being a fake dating experiment. And I don't know why, but I really enjoy the fake dating
I love that.
tropes.
I love that one.
I don't
We all know
I
how it's going
don't
to
know why.
end,
It's
and I love
probably
it. They're like, oh,
it's my top 3. Yeah.
yeah. Honestly, it might be my very favorite one.
Yeah. I would say I don't know why and
Or an enemies to
actually
lover.
yeah. Honestly though, I just loved the book. It was really
Yeah.
good. I would recommend
So
it to
maybe
anyone who just wants a cute little romance book. It was adorable.
you're going to read the second one.
I did not know this. I
Yeah,
will.
Love Theoretically.
Yes, I
It's the
will.
orange cover.
Okay, good to know. Ooh,
That one's good too.
well, keep it
I
going
like the first
because
one better, but the
the
second one's
style
good too.
writing I really
I don't know. There
liked.
might be a third
So
one. Not sure.
yeah. What
Mm.
about you? What do you have in August?
I read Play Along by Liz Tomford. Have
Okay.
you read the Windy City series? It's like Mile High is the one. Okay, you would really like that series too. They're sports
Hmm.
romances. The first
Okay.
one's hockey. It's probably the least favorite one out of the series,
Oh,
but
okay.
I liked it. People hate on it. Then there is a basketball player as the second one, and then the third and fourth are baseball players. This one is my favorite of the whole entire series. I no words. It is fake dating. Basically, this girl Kennedy. She is like an athletic trainer for the baseball team. She runs into Isaiah on her first
Ooh.
day. He's like instantly into her, then notices she has an engagement ring. So he backs off. 3 years goes by. He notices she's not wearing the ring anymore. He starts flirting with her. She's not allowed to date the players. They run into each other in Vegas, get drunk, and get married.
Ooh.
And now they have to stay together for the rest of the season so that they don't get fired. That's the premise of the story. It is unbelievable. The spice is so good.
Okay.
I love Isaiah.
Yeah.
Probably my favorite book of the whole month.
Okay.
And I read it at the
All
beginning.
right. I'll
So,
have to add
a
that to my
bold
list,
statement for me. It was so good. I gave it 5 stars.
which is good.
Honestly, the
It's
whole
nice when you have
series,
a
I think I
series like
gave
that.
either 4 or 5 stars to each of the books. They're all
Even
really good.
better.
And they're
Even better.
Kindle Unlimited.
So I had
Mm-hmm.
the start of my
Yep.
whole Emily
All right.
series
What's your next one?
reading for August, but first was Beach Read. And I think you've read that one, right? Okay. Yeah, so I gave this about a 3.75. I really liked it. It was cute.
Mm-hmm.
Two
Yep.
writers who are stuck in a rut decide to make an agreement with each other, competition of sorts to write each other's style book. I liked it. It was cute. I not a lot to add. It was just really cute. I liked it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think I gave that one like a 3. Honestly, that girl Jolie we were talking about before we started
Hmm.
filming, she just read it and she literally gave it 5 stars. She's like, this book has changed me.
Oh,
I can't see that part. This was Emily Henry's first book. That's what made her like pop off. And then everyone was like,
you know,
either people love her or they hate her. And they're like, but everyone seems to love
I
Beach
think
Read.
it's because they're
I
supposed to
couldn't
think they're
understand
at
why
the
it was
beach
called Beach Read though, because
houses.
they're not really at the beach.
They were outside on the deck a little bit, but there wasn't necessarily beach involved for that. So I think
Hmm.
you could read it anytime. At first I thought, oh, it's perfect for summer because, the beach and um
Yeah.
I could have read this in the winter and it probably would have been fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And honestly,
I
the
feel like
fact that you said
the
that
cover,
she
I
had
liked it though.
out, the
It's
rest, I think, obviously
solid.
got better over time, without giving too
Hmm.
much detail.
Yeah. But people like rave about Beach Read. And
That is nuts.
she has like movie and or TV
That's
deals for every
crazy.
single one of her books. So like we're gonna
Ooh,
probably
okay.
soon start seeing those pop up. I actually think they just
I mean,
announced
let's be
casting for
real.
one of them. But yeah, it's
Oh,
the
I
Beach
think it
Read
was people
people.
we meet on vacation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for
Okay.
Netflix. No, I saw like the producer like it was a reel of like him telling them they got the part. I think it
Okay.
was people we
Hmm.
meet on vacation, but I do
Yeah.
know she has book deals and movie and TV deals for all the books,
Yeah.
which is crazy. Um, nice. Okay. I I did not read any
Yeah,
Emily
you
Henry.
are.
I read another fantasy book because I'm like on my quest to find some good ones this year. So I read Assistant to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Mayer, I think is how you say her name. Apparently this like went viral on TikTok. She was sharing like, parts of the story on TikTok and then that's how she ended up writing the book. Don't quote me on that. That was I think on the Amazon page. But
Hmm.
this, if you have never read a fantasy book
Okay.
or you like really basic entry level, this is the one to read. I gave it 3 stars. It was good. Nothing crazy about it. Basically, it's this girl, Evie. Her dad is sick, so she needs a job. She gets fired. She needs a job to bring home money to support her family. And she's walking in
Hmm.
the woods and she runs into the villain. Everyone in the realm knows him. He has like a feud with the king and he offers her employment. So she goes to be his assistant, hence the name of the book. But she can't tell anyone she works there. And while she's working there, she starts to realize that there's like a mole in the office.
Hmm.
Someone is spilling secrets to the king who they have the rival with. So she's trying to figure out who's doing it. So that's the plot of the story. Honestly, at some parts it's a little cheesy, but it's very light. Very light. It was good. There's a sequel that just came out in August. The first one's on Kindle Unlimited.
Yeah.
The sequel was
Hmm.
not.
No, because I
Read it
had it on
yet.
my list
Once it
for a
goes on Kindle
while, but I
Unlimited, I'll
don't
read
know
it.
if I necessarily will go forward and read it.
Fantasy fangirls were raving about it. It's cute. They have like a little frog that
Yeah.
builds up like funny signs in like serious situations, like commentary. That was funny. Like there's some lighthearted moments. I think it's good. I'm
Stay on the
pick it up.
Emily Henry theme because it seems apparently that I did,
All right,
Sarah J.
what's your
Maas in
next one?
July and Emily Henry in August. So we're just gonna keep going. So next up was Happy Place. I rated that 4. I really liked
Mhm.
it. I thought it was gonna beat out Book Lovers for me because at first I thought it was really cute, but it did not. Um, I actually put that in my notes that it definitely did not beat Book Lovers, but I thought it was really cute. I liked the premise of two people who had been together for years, the perfect couple, then they're not, stuff they're not talking about. I think a lot of people could probably resonate with things of keeping things kind of internally and then not until it kind of just becomes a volcano and everything erupts and you have to talk about it. So I really like it. I love the fact that they had to kind of fake re-being together because they didn't tell their friends that they had broken up. So it brought that fake dating thing that, we had mentioned that I really like that trope. But
Mhm.
I really liked it. It was super cute. I also like the fact that it
Mhm.
was New England based. So for me, I can weirdly picture probably where some of this stuff is just from some of the beach towns that we have up here. So it was super cute. Um, it was definitely, in my opinion, I think this is better than People We Meet on Vacation and actually better than Beach Read. So it seemed as I read hers, they got better with each one.
Book Lovers is number one for
I know.
me. That is
Yeah.
a 5-star read. I'm so nervous to reread it though that I won't think it's 5-star and it'll crush me because I've had that thought in my head since like
Okay.
2022.
Yeah. I liked it.
People We Meet on Vacation is my
Yeah.
least favorite book by her. I think I gave it 2
Yeah.
stars. I did not like that one. So I think it was that one because then the movie I was like, of
Yeah.
course, the movie, the one I'm not even excited about. Happy
Yeah.
Place, I think
Yeah.
I
It's
gave 4 as
perfect.
well. I
Yeah.
love the color, that bright pink. Ooh,
What you have next?
I'm like looking at my list. I read Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. Now, I will preface this. I read this completely out of order. So that one's book 2 in the series, Just for the Summer, that just came out a couple months ago. It's
Oh,
her new
okay.
one. That is book 3 in the series. I've already read that one as well. So then I was reading this one last. Um, I really liked this one. I gave it 4 stars. It's really good. Out of all 3, it's probably my least favorite because I love Yours Truly and I really enjoyed Just for the Summer, but it was really
Okay.
cute. It had reverse age gap. So she was like 38 and he
Yeah.
was 28. And so
Yeah.
I didn't know if I was going to love that because, personal tastes. I don't like when the guy's younger, but you couldn't even tell. Daniel, who's the guy, he is the definition of a golden retriever.
Yeah.
But no, it was a cute story. I really liked
All
it.
right, so my last one,
Yeah,
which I know
that's the
you
connection.
haven't read Book Lovers, and I'm gonna say that as just a for me it did because I did the audiobook for Book Lovers. So I don't know if I had a different experience. So I'll caveat that. But this one was so good. I don't know if I said the title already, but it was Funny Story. It's her latest. It's Daphne, and basically she loves how her story is told by her fiance. So her and Peter, he tells their story, their meet cute, everything about them, loves hearing it from his point of view. And then, before they're to get married, he says that he's in love with his best friend of his, childhood friend. Now, I'm not giving you any spoilers because it's all in the summary. So I'm trying to keep here to what the summary said so I don't give you too much. However, Daphne
Hmm.
finds herself homeless and doesn't have anywhere to
That's
stay.
fine.
So she ends up moving in with, and I have to read my notes because I'm gonna butcher this, her ex-fiance's new fiance's ex-boyfriend, Miles. So her, Daphne and Peter were together. Peter's best friend, Petra, I don't know how I'm saying that. I apologize if I'm saying it wrong, and Miles were together. So now Daphne and Miles are roommates. And then the other two are engaged. So, oh, I'm dumping you, but I'm also now being re-engaged to someone else. Um, and that's how the new story starts, is this whole thing. And Miles and Daphne kind of were ignoring each other for a bit, the
Oh my
typical
god.
roommates that weren't friends, just coexisting in the same place. until they kind of, build up a whole plan to make their experiences look a lot cooler than what's probably happening. So they're going on a bunch of activities, all this stuff. And there's no way that she would fall in love with her ex-fiance's new fiance, ex-boyfriend. So I loved it. I gotta put my phone down because I'm gonna use my hands. Italian here. Absolutely loved it. It was so good. Um, Laughing the whole time. Just the stuff they're doing. So cute. I think you'll really enjoy it. I gave it a 4.5 stars. Um, yeah, I really liked it a lot. It was good.
Oh, it's on my list. I'm waiting for my hold to be up on it. But I've heard good
Pretty
things. Another
covers.
one that
I'm
has a
just gonna
really
say
pretty
this.
cover. That like
Whoever is
bluish purple color
approving these
almost.
color schemes, perfect. Thank you. Keep it up.
Yeah, I
Yep.
like
Yeah.
the look of
Yep.
them with like two words, really bold, with like a bright color in the back. Yeah, I like them.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I just added it to my list like because I want to
Okay.
read them all, and
It's
I didn't even read the
so
summary.
good.
This is the
It's
first time I'm
so
hearing what this
good.
book is even about.
Yeah. You will.
It sounds so good. I love that premise. Oh my god, I'm
I
gonna
have
eat
the
that up.
paperback. You can always just
I
drive
can't wait
by
to
and
read
it's
it.
like, here you go.
Oh, maybe I'll do that. Yeah. Oh, I'm so excited. My next one I read was Same Time Next Summer by Annabelle Monaghan. So she's going around right now because she just has that new book, Summer Romance. So a lot of people are reading that. She's also the author of Nora Goes Off Script, that one was
Okay.
pretty popular. This is my first book I've ever read from her. I
Yeah.
think you would really enjoy her writing. Short chapters, fast pace, witty. Like she keeps it moving. There's no fluff. This book kind of reminded me of Every Summer After a little bit. So let me just, because I finished this book literally 2 days ago. I've already forgotten the names. Okay. So it follows Sam and Wyatt. They've known each other their entire lives. Their families have beach houses next to each other. So in Long Island, Wyatt's from Florida, Sam's from the city. They go to the beach house every summer. And it kind of goes back and forth between like the past tense, showing them as kids and how their friendship has grown, and then they start to date each other. And then it's showing now where Sam has come back to the beach house the first time in 12 years. She's 30. She's now about to be getting married to this guy, Jack. And it's the first time she's running into Wyatt since they broke up. They had a huge falling out. It ended really badly. They were like so in love with each other. It did not work out.
Ooh.
They have not spoken. They have not talked to each other. She has no clue he's going to be there. And they into each other, and she has to kind of confront what happened to her and what they went through. And that's all I'll say about it. So you get like two different timelines. There's different POVs happening. It, oh my God, it was so good. Honestly, if you take
Okay.
like The Summer I
I
Turned
like that.
Pretty and marry it with Every Summer After, I think you get this book. This needs to be a movie.
I don't know why, but I really enjoy. I actually think that's why I like People We Meet on Vacation so much, is because they do the back and forth.
Like when it flips back and
But
forth.
yeah, that's so cool to me. And the fact you get dual POVs or multiple, that's pretty cool too.
Yeah, it's really cool. And
I think this one's gonna.
do you have any more for
Okay, I
August?
kind of want you to go first because I think this one's gonna be up for debate. So
I have one more as
I
well.
think you should go first.
I'll go first then. I actually just finished this one this morning, so perfect timing. I was looking for
Hmm.
thrillers and I put a video out on TikTok asking for recommendations. And a lot of people said Local Woman Missing by Mary Kubica, which I had that on my radar. I just assumed it wasn't Kindle Unlimited, but it was. So I downloaded it. Um, really good. I gave it 4 stars. That I have not read a thriller this fast in months. So probably since my last Frida McFadden book. So this one, I really, really enjoyed it. It basically follows these this woman Shelby goes missing in this town. Then like 10 days later, this woman Meredith and her daughter Delilah go missing. And no one knows what happened to these women. Then you flash forward 11 years.
Oh
Delilah, you
my
find out,
God.
has been living in the basement of these people's house in the dark, like basically being starved, like terrible, terrible, terrible conditions. She gets out and she goes back to the house. So now she's back, and it kind of reopens the case of like what happened. So again, dual timelines. You're flipping back and forth between 11 years ago. So like this is kind of like like happens in the beginning, and then you get 11 years ago, you get the perspective of this woman Kate, who's a neighbor, and you get Meredith's perspective, the mother who went missing. And then it flashes forward to present day,
Ooh.
where you're getting the story told through Leo, who is Delilah's brother, his perspective. So he's giving you like what's going on currently now that she's come back and like resurfaced and they found her. It was so good. First of all, on your toes, short chapters.
Yes.
But I love a thriller that gives you a bunch of characters that all are suspicious. Like, I'm just like, oh, I think it's this one because of X. I also love a thriller that when you get to the end, one, I did like a reading vlog of me doing it. So like I taped like my reactions throughout like what I thought was going on. And in it, like maybe 70% through, one of my many guesses
Yes.
ends up being kind of how it ends, which I love because it means it was a realistic ending. But it was to the point where like even though I had guessed that at 70%, it was one of like three guesses I had going on. Then at like 87%, I only know because I was literally editing that TikTok earlier. At like 87%, I completely switched. And I'm like, oh my God, this person's suspicious. I think now it's this person. Then I get to the ending and I'm like, I knew it. I should have stuck with my gut back at
Honestly, though,
70%.
the
I
realistic
really enjoyed it.
ending
It was
when
good.
you're
It
reading
was really
through,
good.
it's nice when it isn't just pulled out of thin air of an answer, of a, an ending and a shocking revelation that no one had
Hmm.
any idea about whatsoever. It makes it
Yeah.
more enjoyable, in my opinion, when it's, oh, you tricked me 5 times into thinking it was something else.
Yeah. I hate like I think that's why I don't like
Yeah.
Riley Sager books
Yeah.
because then it just seems things are like so far fetched, like almost like a magical element to them, which like I don't like that. And then I also hate books where it's like I
Yeah.
never, with what you gave me, I never would have gotten to this conclusion. Even if I reread this knowing the ending, I will never have gotten this. This book,
Yeah.
just enough where like now if I go back, I 100% could see it throughout the entire thread of the story. And
Yeah.
clearly it was enough that like this particular person, there was enough clues that I was suspicious of this person. I loved it. And the ending was so like
Hmm.
plain. I don't want to give too much away. Plain in the
Ooh,
sense of
okay.
like what happened.
Well, I guess I'll close
It
us
was good.
out in terms of I
What
had
was
the
yours?
guest list by Lucy Foley. And I know this one was one that came highly recommended by a few people, but I had it rated a 2 star. I don't know. I don't know. But for me, I think it was too many POVs where I could tell that the person who was suspicious was going to be suspicious. There were parts that I didn't necessarily catch in terms of some of the twists at the end. Like I'm trying to do it without any spoilers here. The twists at the end, there were maybe two or three. I didn't necessarily expect them, but it was
Mm,
one of those I started zoning out and just skipping pages because I just didn't need this little bickering here and this thing here. For me, I could have probably done with 50 less pages just to get through it. So I don't know. I could have been in the fact that I read a decent amount of romance books before it, and switching so quickly to that probably wasn't ideal. Um,
mhm.
but yeah, it just didn't live up to the hype, and I'm probably going to get some slack for that. I'm probably going to get some comments on that. I didn't catch on to the twist, don't get me wrong. I probably should have, thinking back now, but I kind of checked out at the end and just said, okay, tell me, you know, who the murderer was and what happened. That's kind of where I was at with that one. But I know.
Mhm. Yeah. In part one, I mentioned we had some text exchange. This was the one. I texted Meg immediately when I saw it on Goodreads. I said, you gave this book a
Yeah.
2 star. Now, granted, I'm looking up right now. I read this book May 12th,
Yeah.
2021 is when I finished this book. So
Yeah.
over 3 years ago. So the details, I don't remember. The plot, I don't remember. The names, couldn't tell you. I just know in the moment when I read that book, it was a 5-star read for me. And I was like, I like this book. This was a good, I would say more mystery than thriller. And
Yeah.
I remember telling everyone, like at the gym, I remember going in and being like, you all need to read this book. I genuinely really
Yeah.
enjoyed the book. I don't know if I would still enjoy it. Like maybe I would agree more with you now if I reread it after having read more of that category. I just remember being like, oh my God, I love these twists. And it will contradict
Yeah.
everything I just said about the last book. Like I didn't see them coming. And I just said, I like when I can figure it out. But
Yeah.
like they didn't feel far fetched. Like I felt like, okay, maybe if I went back and read it, I could have figured these out. But they kind of took me by surprise. I don't know. I liked it. Maybe it's also I
Yes.
just liked like they were on an island. It
Yeah.
was giving me like Clue vibes. Like it's it's Colonel Mustard in the library with the Kindle stick.
I was expecting a thriller and I got more of a mystery. And for me, that is a huge difference when I'm going into a book. So I think for it could have just been I was expecting certain things and didn't end up getting that, and that's
They
fine.
need to separate that category, I think.
They have to.
Like they're so different.
Yeah.
Like a thriller can have mystery aspects and a
Hmm.
mystery could have thrilling aspects, but they're different. They're so different the way they're written. I think they need to
Yeah.
separate those out. I must ask though, because my love of the guest list, Tony's love of the guest list, we started our book club, the three of
Yeah.
us, with the Paris apartment because me and her loved this book so much.
Yeah.
And then we all kind of were like, on the Paris apartment. I think we all gave it like very mid scores. And I remember like me and her not compare like the guest list.
Michaela,
Claiming that you like the
unpopular
Paris apartment more
opinion,
than this book.
100%. So I got
Unpopular
out, I
opinion.
shut the book. It was one of the paperbacks. Shut it,
It's okay.
put it down. I go, Patrick, I did not like that book, and I like the Paris apartment more. He goes, I don't know what you're talking about, but okay. And I said, nope, and Michaela, I couldn't even text you because I go, it's not gonna be a good reaction. It's gonna be more of a what are you doing? So I purposely held off.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, I
Yeah.
stalk Goodreads. I wait for everyone to update. I love seeing everyone's updates. I saw that and I was a little spooked. I was like,
Yeah.
this must be an error. And then you were like, no, it's not an error.
Yeah.
Now, after reading 2 books from
Probably
her,
not.
this one being a 2, and I think you gave Paris Apartment like a 3, 3.5. Would you read anything else by her?
Yeah, Paris Apartment had the one or two twists at the end that I did not see coming, and I thought they were well placed. These, I was suspicious of people, but I didn't expect the twist to be what happened. I expected to be something different. So it was one of those that I was just, oh, okay, that's where we went with this. So because I had two different reactions, I probably wouldn't go. If it was more consistent in terms of some of the twists at the end where, oh, that was really shocking, but I didn't like the book overall, maybe. But I have too many others, I think, honestly, are probably higher, you know, on the list to read. So probably not. What about you? Would you read it?
I'm torn because like I really liked this one, but then Paris Apartment was like did not love that one compared. I haven't heard
Yeah.
great things about her other books. I read the guest list because people were talking about it at the
Yeah.
time. I haven't heard the same chatter about her books, so I'm not like drawn in. And it's another thing, like obviously I will spend money on books all
100%.
day every day, but I do pay for Kindle Unlimited. So I'm always
Yeah.
going to pick a book that's Kindle Unlimited over spending $14, especially cuz I read so fast
Yeah.
that I'm like, okay, that was like and I read so many books, it would be just so expensive.
Yeah.
If she was on Kindle Unlimited, I would probably give her a third shot because I did really like one of her books. But I'm not drawn to her
Yeah.
enough to spend
Yeah.
$10 to $15 to buy a Kindle book for her and run the risk of not liking it. Like I'm that's the thing that sucks. I mean, I don't know what authors
Yeah.
get for putting their books on Kindle Unlimited. They must get something because
Hmm.
like some big authors are on there, and people like Megan Quinn, all of her books go on Kindle Unlimited. So I'm curious, like on the back end, how that works. But I just feel like sometimes not putting your books on there does authors a disservice because I'm
Exactly.
just more hesitant, especially if it's an author I've never read. I'm like, well, I'd rather just wait
Hmm.
for a Libby hold. So I don't know. I mean, I really liked the
Yeah.
guest list. Again, though, this is more than 3 years ago, so I'm curious if I would like it as much now. Um, did not love Paris Apartment.
Yeah, I
If
think
she
so
goes on
too.
Kindle Unlimited, I will definitely
Yep,
download.
agreed.
Until then, I think we're on a break.
Yeah, up until now, that's what I
Yeah,
have. I'm kind of in a
but
lull
that's
until
all I had for August. Yeah, I mean, we're
yeah.
recording this on the 16th, so kind of a good amount already for the first half of the month. Excited to see what we read next. Um, but yeah, and then you'll give us your Throne of Glass update
Yeah,
because you probably should be done by the next episode,
should be.
and it'll be good.
Well, if you're still listening to us, thank you. Thank you for dealing with part two of our
Beautiful.
summer reads
Okay.
because we had a lot to talk about. Looking ahead for our September book club, we are going to be doing Quicksilver by Callie Hart. So stay tuned on that one because that has been pretty much a hot topic lately on TikTok. So
Have you looked it
okay,
up at all? I haven't read anything.
I haven't because I kind of want to go into this blind. So I
I'm
know.
going in
So
blind,
I
which that stay tuned to see if that bites us in the butt. Everyone's talking about it.
All right, so I guess we'll see when we talk about it in the book club how it goes. Other
Okay.
recommendations, all of that. If you want to see more from us in Booktrovert, follow us on TikTok and on Instagram at BooktrovertsPod. Basically, everything will be there. Like I said, if you have any recommendations, send them to us. Have a rating, review. Love it all. And thanks so much again for sticking with us.